In this lecture, we'll have a look at the business process of packing and how it's done in SAP. In SAP, the packing process is commonly known as the handling unit management. By the end of this course, you should be able to describe how the packing is done, why you would do packing, and how we would do it in SAP. Now, a note here. We are not going to go into a deep dive session on the handling unit management because there's quite a lot to cover, and it's commonly covered by the IM or WM consultant. However, what we are going to do is to have a look at how the packing is done, why we want to do the packing, and in general, how does it look like in SAP. So, an introduction. So when would you do the packing? The packing happens after the picking process. You've gone to the warehouse or to whatever location, you've taken all of those materials and you group them together in a particular location after you've picked them. So usually the location is either a packing station or a staging area. Wherever that place is, you have all of the materials that you want to ship, and you would then put them all in one or more containers so that they are now prepared and ready to be shipped. The reason why we pack them is so that they don't get damaged in transit or they get lost or something else. So as you can see in the process here, we have the picking, and after the picking we then confirm the packing. And once we've confirmed the packing, the system may generate the packing list. The first thing to remember is that while this always happens as part of the order to cash outbound logistics, we may or may not want to model this in SAP. Now let's have a look how we would do it. So as I said before, the packing activities happen after the picking. Within SAP, there is a handling unit management module that handles the packing activity. And when you pack something, it's called a handling unit. So each box is a handling unit. It's just another document, it's another object that physically represents the box or the container that you put all the materials in. Yeah, you can store it either on the delivery or on the shipment. And the document, this handling unit, will have a header and item records. We'll have a look at that in our demo. On the header, we can have information such as the weight, the volume. We could have a unique handling unit number for that. We can also, on the item level, have the packed materials, the batch, the plant, where it was from, and so forth. So, as you can see here in the picture, one thing I wanted to note is you could have what we call multi-layer or hierarchical handling units. So in this example here, we see this whole container is one handling unit. And in the container, we have one pallet, which is one handling unit. So you can see here we have two pallets, and on each pallet we have two packages here. So this says that we have multi-level handling units, one inside the other. And all of these, we have the EAN number, which is the material number. We have the SSCC number, which is a tracking number. We have the packing material, so we can record if we use some boxes, and this we can record what type of pallet we were using, for example. We can record the weight, volume, and dimension of each of these, and the status, whether it's been packed, where is it a multi-level, and so forth. So why would you want to actually have packing materials and handling units? Because you already have the materials. Why do you want to now model in SAP the packaging? Well, some businesses don't do it. Some businesses say, physically I am going to pack everything, but in the system I don't need to record it. And some businesses say, yes, I need it. And the reasons for using the packing material and the handling unit is, the first one is they want to manage the inventory of the packaging materials. So packaging materials, as you know, could be another material in the inventory. You can buy it, you can have a purchase order, you can have an inventory level, and as you consume the packing material, you can go down. So it allows you to easily track the packaging material that you have in your warehouse, and when it's almost finished, you know that it's time to order some more. You could also record the handling unit that you're using, and you can use something called the Serial Shipping Container Code, which is the SSCC, and it's stored on each handling unit. And the importance of this is that this code is a industrial accepted code and can be quoted on the ASN, the Advanced Shipping Notification. If you're using EAN, electronic document interface, when you transfer all the information to the customer, you can then quote the SSCC number, and the person receiving the material will know, oh, I'm expected to receive 3 handling units. They have this SSC code, and when you do a goods receipt on the other side, it will say you might have 10 materials, but you are expected to only receive 3 boxes. Yeah. You can also enforce weight and volume limits on the packaging material. So for example, a pallet can only accept 100 kilos. Yeah. So you can put a maximum level. Okay, my packaging is the pallet, and it can only accept 100 kilos. So you can do some enforcement of weight and volume limits. If, for example, the determination of the packaging material is simple, you can get SAP to propose it. You can also generate the packing labels that will go on the handling unit. So if you have, for example, 3 boxes that you need to ship to the customer, you can then create labels that say box 1, box 2, box 3, SSC code, etc. So it's easier for you internally to track. And finally, if you know what packaging materials that you are using, you know what packaging materials that you are sending to the customer, this can be used for the reporting to authorities of packaging materials. This is quite important, especially in the European Union, as there are environmental reporting rules. So you must say how much packaging materials that is used, how many packaging materials it's been sent to the customer. These are standard reporting for the European Union. So the first prerequisite of using the handling unit functionality in SAP is the creation of the packaging material. And you can know a packaging material is, by default, the material group is VERP. We'll have a look at this in detail in the demo. And what I wanted to explain is that there are actually two ways of managing the packaging. The first is where the packaging material does not appear anywhere, either on the sales order or on the delivery and so forth. Yeah, you might pack a material on the delivery, but the packaging material itself doesn't appear anywhere. So you might, for example, have an inventory of the material in stock, or you may not have, and over time, as you use them, you just reduce the inventory of the packaging material day by day. So maybe you do a stock count or generally or whatever it is. Yeah, so this is where you have packaging, you have some inventory of the packing material, but it doesn't appear on any document, and periodically you just consume it. Further integration is what you can do is to have the packaging material appear either on the sales order or on the delivery. And as you ship the material out, you automatically consume, i.e. you reduce the stock of that material. So you know, for this customer, I have sent him X amount of packaging material. So how or what are the scenarios that we that we can use for packaging. The first of all is we can have the scenario where we include the packaging material, but we don't sell it to the customer. And usually, whether or not we want the packaging to appear on the sales order or on the delivery or not at all, if we are not selling it to the customer, it doesn't really matter. What we have included is the price of the packaging material is just part of the goods sold. So we already automatically included the price. We capture that we package everything, but we don't charge the customer. The second scenario is something called return packaging. And the return packaging means that we clearly record that when we ship to the customer, we record as a new item line. We will see this in the demo, the packaging material. And we can either outrightly sell it to the customer. So, for example, I pack the materials, the packaging materials appear on the delivery, and when I do the goods issue, that returnable packaging is sold to the customer. Now, I might also have a process to allow the customer to sell back the material, or the customer can just keep it. This is usually used when A, the packaging material is really not that high, or the customer may or may not return it. They might use it themselves. So for example, if I sell the customer some pallets, they might want to use it in their own system and never return it to me. That's fine, I just sell them outright. And the third is where it takes a very long time for the customer to return it. And a good example of this is when you purchase LPG gas or butane gas in those big cylinders. You know, those cylinders that have maybe 20, 30 liters of gas that you use for cooking or for barbecue. So what you would do is you would go to the shop, you would buy the gas, and you would also buy the cylinder in which the gas comes in. You would then go home, you would use all of the gas, and then you would take back the empty cylinder to wherever you bought it from. And there you can either sell back the cylinder, get some of your money back, or you could sell back the cylinder and then using that credit buy a new cylinder and fill it up with gas and then take it home. So there you can see the example. The customer can take that cylinder, go to another shop and sell it back. The customer might take a very long time or very quickly use that cylinder. So that's why you would want to try to sell it outright to the customer. Lastly, we also have consignment, which is the seller still owns the packaging material even though it's on the customer's site. And in theory, it's on loan to the customer. This is usually used for packaging materials that are quite bulky, that the customer can never ever reuse, and should be returned back to the factory. So, for example, there is something called skillage, which is basically a big metal cage. Yeah, and a lot of times when you're delivering something, you might put all of the packaging in this big metal cage. You might then deliver it to the customer, and you want to track that the customer returns that metal cage the next day. Yeah, so that is kind of a consignment. Yeah. So it's important, as I always say, understand the business, understand how they want to manage the packaging material, and then you then have an SAP scenario that can fit it. So, in summary, we've seen how we could manage the packaging material, either from a range of nothing at all to fully managing it in inventory management, in SAP. We've seen some of the scenarios in which we place the packaging material in the delivery, either automatically through the handling unit, or we could even pull it in as part of the material sales BOM. So it's up to the business again It always is up to the business process and the business scenario to drive how we manage the packaging material. What's important is to say, is it worth it to manage it in SAP? Because the more you have it, the more complex it gets in SAP, and the value in managing the packaging material itself. This, again, is up to the consultant's job to analyze the requirements of the business and make a proposal whether we should have all of these scenarios replicated in SAP.